And then they come back to say it is cancer.
How old is he?
5. We did the surgery. It was good, thank God. We did radiation, we rang the bell, everything was great. And then I got that call, this bad news, the tumors are back. And at this point, his body cannot go through what it had just gone through. So there's nothing we can do at this point. There's no cure. We are going to give him about 6 months to 1 year to live. The day my son died, how he died, where he died, it was as if a part of me went. So it was now a question of, if we had prayed that much and this still happened, does God still exist? Is there really a God somewhere? I had a lot of questions.
Welcome back to another podcast episode with Empowered Woman of God. We have a special guest in-house. Her name is Mrs. Atinuke Solanke. Yeah. I had to practice that to make sure I got it right. And so we welcome you to our platform. We're so happy to have you here to share your story. And we know you are a life coach helping women to heal through different trauma, different wounds, emotional healing. And so I lend the floor to you to just say a few words on a little bit of what it is that you do.
Okay. Thank you so much for having me. I honestly don't believe in coincidences. So I know that our meetup, the way we met, the way this has happened, I know that God has a hand in it. And I'm very grateful for the opportunity that you are giving to me and being here. So yeah, thank you very much for having me.
Awesome. Love it. So now Atinuke and I met at a Kingdom networking event held at the Grand Upper Room by Miss Yetunde. Also, we shared that mutual connection, and she shared her story which was so inspiring. And then she came to an event, and then she shared a little bit more, and then I was like, no, I need to hear all of this story because there is so many layers to this woman. So much resilience, so much strength, so much honor that I have for you, because I know that women, we wear so many hats, we go through so many different things, but sometimes the things that we go through, we don't hear enough people talking about it. So I'll allow you to just share a little bit about your background.
My name is Atinuke Solanke. I am a transformer. I help women heal from emotional pain, from difficult marriages, from childhood dysfunction. And I help women meet the versions of themselves they're not aware exists, right? So I help you rediscover yourself. I help you meet the authentic version of yourself. So you stop playing small. You stop blaming the devil for everything. You wake up to the realization of who God has created you and who God has called you to be. That's what I do in a nutshell. I'm a wife. I'm a mom of 2 beautiful girls. And on the side, I love to cook as well. So I'm also a caterer. Cooking is my happy place. Cooking is therapeutic for me. So I feel like God has called me to heal in so many different levels. If I'm not healing your soul, I'm healing your tummy. So that's what I do in a nutshell.
Awesome. And so I know everyone's like, we can accent. Where's she from? So where are you from? Give us a little background story on that.
Okay. So I'm from Nigeria. I'm from Nigeria, born and bred in Lagos. But I'm originally from Ogun State in Nigeria. Yeah, so I moved to the US in 2020. So it's been 5 years now that I've been in the US.
Oh, wow. Okay, so what prompted that move to the US in 2020? And that was in the heart of the pandemic.
Yeah, right after the shutdown was lifted. Yeah, so what prompted my move? That's an interesting question. Okay, so let me start my story. One beautiful morning, I was getting ready for work at home, back in Lagos, Nigeria. And then my son comes to me, my tummy is hurting. And I'm like, oh yeah, take Tylenol. At home it's called paracetamol or Panadol, right? Just take it, you'll be fine. So I give it to him. I go back to keep getting dressed for work. And then it's not getting better. He's still crying. He's still, in a lot of pain. I'm like, okay, no, this is something that we need to check out. So let's go to the hospital. So on my way to the hospital, I called my husband, oh, this has happened. We're on our way to the hospital, I will keep you posted. And that was the beginning of my journey. We get to the hospital and they run tests, do some scans, and come back to say, oh, there was something with his intestine that was twisted or something. It was called intussusception or something like that, that he had to be operated on immediately.
Wow.
Now, thankfully, at that hospital, they didn't have a pediatric surgeon on ground, on call. So they referred us to another hospital. Now, getting to that other hospital, so we didn't go to that hospital because by the time they released us, it was late at night. But they had called the other hospital to schedule us, right? So I called and they had said, oh, is he showing symptoms of this? No. Is he this? No. They're like, oh, no, that can't be what is wrong with him. But bring him in the morning, just have a look at him. So we made it through the night, some way, somehow. He was in a lot of pain. And then the following morning, we go to the hospital. They have to run more tests, more scans, more MRIs, CT scans, and everything. And then they come back to say it is cancer.
How old is he?
5.
Oh my gosh.
I didn't know kids could have cancer at the time. Well, until it happened to my son, I didn't know there was anything like that. I had heard of it, but I hadn't really experienced somebody close to me going through that journey. So I just knew it was something dramatic, but I didn't know what it was, right? And then that was where take him to a government hospital where they have all the best hands to take care of him and all of that. So on getting there, we need to do a biopsy to confirm what type, all of that, because from the scans, they could tell that's what it was. But how far gone, all of those things, they needed to do some more tests. So they had to do a biopsy. And then they eventually decided to do a surgery. Well, when we take out whatever it is we need to take out, then we'll do a biopsy on that, right? So they did the surgery, did the biopsy. Result came out a couple of weeks after, and they're like, oh yeah, that's what it is. It was called rhabdomyosarcoma of his bladder muscles or bladder walls. Wow. And it's a very rare type of pediatric cancer. So one of the doctors then called my mom to the side. My mom used to work at that government hospital at some point. So called my mom to the side to say, doctor, if you guys can, because my mom is a doctor, and she's like, if you guys can, take this boy abroad for better healthcare, for better treatment, because this is very rare, So luckily, I had my kids here in the US. So that's how we had to go to the embassy to tell them what was going on, get a visa. He was 5 at the time. We had to his passport had expired, so we had to renew it, right? But because of the lockdown, we couldn't. COVID happened right then, so we couldn't make the appointment. So we had to go back to the embassy, told them what was going on. They were so good to us. We got the visas and came to the US. Getting to the US, I came with my mom, my daughter, and my son. We didn't know anybody but a family friend who we stayed with at the time. They were so kind, so gracious to us. And then having to get a hospital and all that. By the time we got to the hospital to go to, did more scans, more tests, like the tumors were there. Again. Yeah.
You're still going through pain?
Yep. And then at that point, they're like, oh, it's stage 4 because it had come back, right? If you guys did the surgery in Nigeria, it's back. So it's stage 4. It's 50-50. We don't know how, but let's do what we can do. So we started the process of chemo. They said, the tumors were actually too big to be operated on at the time. So we had to do chemo to shrink it and then do another surgery. So that was and then all of this we came to the US in October. By November, early December, I started feeling some type of way. Where is this period? It hasn't come. Where is this period? It hasn't come. I just thought it was stress from all that I was going through, right? So my body was... And then my mom just says, I can't remember what even happened. I think it was my mom just said, take a test and let's see. Because that was the last thing on my mind, that it was pregnancy. And then I took the test and it was positive. Oh my God. I was livid. So it was another layer of anger at God, another layer of pain, another layer of disappointment, another layer of confusion, another layer of anxiety. Like, how would I deal with this while going through this?
Right.
Bear in mind, I come from a very close-knit family. So this was my first time away from my father, from my siblings, from my husband. So when we were coming to the US, my husband didn't come with us because we just thought, oh, we had done this surgery in Nigeria.
Right.
We just thought we're coming for maybe second opinion, you know, and maybe treatment, and we'll be back. So like, how would I deal with this? How will I go through this? God, this is not fair. This is not good. I didn't even want another child, right? So even if for some reason you think I should have another child, why now?
Right.
Right. So there was that battle. There was that depression that hit me again. So it got to a point for those number of years that I was dealing with that. It was either I was at the hospital for my son or for myself. I was in this country for about a year and a half before I entered the mall. There was no time. It's either I'm sleeping with my son at the hospital or I'm in the hospital for myself, or I'm just happy to be on my bed at home to rest.
Wow.
From all of that was going on.
That you had your daughter come with you too,
yes. Right? So I also had a daughter. Yes, she was, I think, 7 when we moved. Yeah. So I had a 7-year-old as well who was going to school at this time. So he was dealing with a child in school, a child fighting for his life, and then me being pregnant. There was support, but it was from afar. It was online. It was, thank God for technology and phone calls and WhatsApp and video calls, right? But there was so I only had my mom and my uncle and aunts that we stayed with, right? I hadn't made friends. I didn't know anybody at the time. But God so good. My church back home in Nigeria had a community here. So my pastor introduced me to the leader of the community here. So, you know, I started engaging people in church and things like that. Some way, somehow, a community had grown praying for my son. You know, so my friends back home, everyone, you know, was already really deep involved in this because, I mean, it was cancer, I was a child. Now, we went through that for about a year and a half, and then, we did the surgery. It was good, thank God. We did radiation, you know, we rang the bell, everything was great. The tumors had disappeared. Well, they had taken everything out, you know, it was great. So we're happy, yay, storm is over, we're back to...
And how long was this whole process to this point where you're ringing that bell?
This was, so we came in
2020 October?
Yes. So by, say, August
of 2021?
Yes. By August, all of this was done. And now I had my baby in June.
Wow.
Yeah, I had my baby in June.
There's a lot going on.
Yep, I had my baby June 2021. So I'm removing the gory details of cancer treatment and the throwing up and the chemo effect and all of that on my child. So, right. And then, so this was me now nursing the baby. You know, my son, his hair had started growing back. He had resumed school, all excited. I was going to turn 35 that year in 2021. And the excitement of this is over. The storm is over. Yeah. You know, I had gone shopping for my birthday outfits. Like the other birthdays I had past 2 years, it was just me crying, me being sad and all of that, right? So I'm like, this one, I was going to take it personal. I'm going to have a party, like dinner. Yes. My sister had come in. My cousin was around. We're going to, you know, we had booked the reservation for the dinner. I had booked with the photographer a studio for my photo shoot. And one morning in December, my son starts, my tummy. What? I didn't even think anything. I'd be like, okay. But it was really bad, so we had to end up at the ER. And I would never forget that phone call because I was nursing at the time. My mom was with me, remember? So all the while I had my baby, I couldn't be going to the hospital anymore with my son. So my mom stepped in. So my mom was the one doing hospital runs, so that because I was breastfeeding, right? I was nursing. Yeah. So I had to stay home with my baby, and then my mom started doing. So my mom was the one who took him to ER, and then I got that call. I would never forget. I was in my room, and you know, it's bad news. The tumors are back, and at this point, his body cannot go through what it had just gone through. Yeah. So there's nothing we can do at this point. There's no cure. We are going to give him about 6 months to 1 year to live. I was on the phone and I literally sank to the floor. Like, what? And I remember crying that I don't think I have the capacity to go through this again. So I had been tough for the first round. I had become numb, not to feel. I had come on autopilot, just hosting, like, okay, go to the hospital. I wasn't really feeling. I was just moving. I wasn't feeling. I had, yeah, I had been shut down, right? Let me backtrack a bit. Before we came to the US, my husband and I were having a lot of issues. Ooh. My marriage was a very dramatic and painful one, right? So at the point, I didn't leave my marriage back home out of fear of, I have 2 kids. Who is going to marry me again? Where would I start from again? So I took in a lot. I bottled in a lot. I was just coping. We had become pretty much housemates, right? There was nothing. It was just, if we talk, it was about the kids. There was no connection. There was nothing where, So when I moved here, I think what the separation at the time did for me was to make me see that you've lived here 2 years and all of this, you haven't died and you're alone with the kids. So it made me see, well, I could be a single mom, that's fine. So I had resolved that I was done. Now, bear in mind all of this treatment with my son, with the pregnancy. So there was another level of resentment that I had gotten on with my husband. Because to me, I'm the one dealing with this all alone. You're back home, you're going to work, you're hanging out with your friends, you're attending parties, you are fine. I'm the one with the burden of my life literally being shut down. I left my business, I left my career, I left my job, I left everything to come and sit down with my sick child. So it was like I had to end my life, really, right? So there was that layer of resentment on top of all that we're going through. So I had gotten to the point where I had said, oh, you know what, this marriage is done. I'm done, right? I was about to start talking to lawyers. I had made inquiries and stuff, but I knew that there would probably be a custody battle with my husband for the kids. So I'm like, I don't have the emotional capacity right now to deal with all that was happening with my son and that.
Right.
So my mindset was, let my son be well. Once he is well and this part is over, then we can start talking divorce.
Yes.
So that was the only reason why I hadn't taken the step to literally leave, to get the divorce. So now fast forward to, that
he's been now diagnosed. Like
it's returned and 6 months to 1 year to go. And I remember I said there had been a community praying. I believed because people prayed. I had become a nuisance spiritually. When I say a nuisance, every prominent man of God back home I had contacted. Every way. You know how you're five people away from the person you're trying to meet. So I had built, like, for every prominent man of God, I had tried to contact. So I had somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody, so I had reached out. People had prayed. Prominent men of God had prayed. Some that had programs here in Houston, I had taken my son to. Some that came. I remember one man of God that came to Dallas. We flew to Dallas for him to pray for my son. I remember some that would do healing sessions via Zoom, and I would, so I always report myself everywhere I get to share my story. There was a prophet that somebody introduced me to who said, oh, you know what, this boy is going to leave, but there are things that you have to do. So they asked me to get water from, there's something we call in Yoruba, I don't know what it's called in where you're from. It's called, there's some mountains where people go to pray. Right? So there's always a story about the man who founded a church or something, right? So it's in Yoruba, it's called Omiorioke. So basically water from the mountain. But he asked me that I would have to get from 7 mountains, right?
And the prophet.
Yes. That I'll have to get from 7 mountains and then have my boy drink some of the water, bathe with the water, and he will be fine. I did it. I paid someone to go to these different 7 mountains. Remember that I'm here in the US. The mountains are in Nigeria. I paid someone to do that. I used DHL to carry kegs of water from Nigeria. Yes.
What?
Yes. That's the desperation of a mother.
I know.
Right. And I at this point I had outsourced my spirituality. I had outsourced my relationship with God to people. I had seen that these people have more power spiritually than me. I had the mindset then. Was they are doing wonders where they are, right? So they probably have more power and more connection with God than I did. So I'd outsourced all of that to these men, to everyone praying, not just the men. And then, so I got the water, I did it, I bathed him, he drank, we did everything we're asked to do, right? So in that 6 months to 1 year they gave him, remember that one, I was emotionally numb. I was just coasting, sleeping, waking up, autopilot, taking care of him. So there's so many, you know how there's so many prayer lines, prayer platforms, and I'm here in the US. So sometimes it's 3 a.m., sometimes it's 2 a.m. If you had seen me back then, I looked like a scarecrow, for real, because I wasn't sleeping. I was just from one prayer altar to the other, to the other.
And you have a newborn.
And I have a newborn. And I have a sick child. And it was just me praying everywhere. Now, it got to a point where it felt like the more I prayed, the worse he became. So it got to a point that I actually became afraid of praying. Right? But other people were praying, so I was okay with that. Right? Now, hospice, they had taken, at this point, obviously, they had now become a hospice case. So we had the nurse come to the house to tell us, oh, you know, they literally described how he was going to die. At some point, he was at the hospital. They're asking me, do I want him to die at home or at the hospital? If he's at home, they would have a nurse come take care of him. And I'm like, why am I hearing this? But remember, I still believed that he would make it, right? So every time they told me things like that, I shut it down immediately, right? I know, like, I didn't need it. I remember the funeral homes started contacting to make plans. Some people from the hospital had started coming to give options for funeral homes too. You know, I'm like, nope, I'm not going to need it. I'm not going to need this. It's not going to go, faith. And then fast forward to one morning, I just wake up. For some reason, this day he decided, because he typically sleeps in my mom's room. But for some reason, for some days, he asked to stay with me in my room. Remember that I was nursing. So, sure, so he was sleeping with me. And I wake up one morning to use the restroom, and I just see him. His eyes were open, but he was breathing funny. So I went to use the restroom. My mom was awake. How is he? I told her. So she jumped up to, remember that my mom is a doctor. So she jumps up to go check, and she's like, we need to call the nurse. We need to call the nurse. So I call, and the nurse comes over. We already had the oxygen mask and everything. So she comes, connects everything, and she says to me, it's time. And I look at her and I'm like, time for what? Start saying your goodbyes. And I reject it. I now start, God forbid, this is not going to happen. I go wake my daughter up to go get ready for school. And then my mom is there with him. My mom is praying. I'm listening. I'm looking for videos of prayer calls to play the replay. I put my phone beside him. I start making calls. I start telling some pastors, this is what is going on. I call my husband, this is what is happening. There was just a lot. But at the same time, I was still trying to protect my daughter from what was going on. It hadn't hit me then what was going on, for real. So my daughter gets ready for school. And while she's getting ready, I come into the room. And I literally watch him go. Right on my bed, right beside me. Like, I literally saw him go. And my mom just starts, crying. I saw him go, but I still didn't realize that's what had happened. Right? And remember that at this point, I'm numb. It was a mixture of being numb, denial. It was just a mixture of so many things. I know, I didn't accept it. So we tell the nurse. So she had known what was going on. So she comes, takes off the mask. Nope, put it back. He's not, no. I asked her to put the mask back on him. And I start praying. And I start holding his hands. I literally held him till he went cold. And I start praying. And I call my husband. You know, at this point, my husband and I were just, we were speaking officially, right? Updates and stuff. Now, my daughter is ready for school. I take my daughter to school. How I drove to my daughter's school, I don't remember. At this point, my mom had called my siblings, told them what happened. My siblings had called my uncle who we're staying with. And I take her to school. At the time, my uncle is calling me, everybody's calling me, I'm not picking. The reality, I didn't want to accept it. I get home, my uncle was already there with his wife, everyone is there. And I just lock myself in the room with my boy. Still on my bed. He was
still there?
Yeah. Before the morgue, all those people came to carry him, I was with him for a long time. I just stayed. And I start praying. I start telling him how much I love him. I start telling him how much I'll never leave him. I will never forget him. I just start I thinking about it now. I was just there, still in denial, but seeing that I feeling like it literally went cold. Yeah. Then at this point, I'm like, God, how? We prayed. So there's now another layer of anger at God. Okay, so I'm a sinner. That's fine. What about the millions, the thousands of people that had started praying for us? What about the prophecies that had come to say he wouldn't die? What about the other people, basically, apart from me, who believed with me? So even if I'm a sinner, would you say not even because of one person, you will let, this boy was just 7 at the time. So there was another layer of anger at God. But now, before this time, I had started going to church here. I attend DCH, Dominion Chapel, Houston. And, my pastor was already involved with the case. And there was one of the pastors in my church who, after he had passed, came and he said to me, Atinuke, I haven't lost a child before, but I have lost the younger sister. And he said, she was born into my arms. So I was literally like her little dad. I sent her to school, I did everything, and she died. So I can't really tell you that I know the pain that you feel or what you're going through, but I have an idea. And he said, I just want you to be careful of bitterness and unforgiveness. So, wow. At the time, he now says to me that apparently there's a verse in the Bible where, the Bible talks about unforgiveness being the same thing as witchcraft. I never heard about that before. So that hits me for some reason. And my mindset was, I don't want to be a witch. I think that was where my reconciliation with God started from. Like, no, I don't want to be a witch. So even though I can't pray, even though I'm not seeing the light at the end of this tunnel, even though I'm not, oh, by the way, talking about light at the end of the tunnel, I had a friend at the time, before my son passed, who had advised me to say, when life gives you lemon, make lemonades. I blocked him. I thought, yeah, you are very insensitive.
Right.
Which lemonade am I making at this time?
Exactly.
So, but this particular thing my pastor said to me hits me. And I didn't want to be a witch. So I wasn't praying, but I would play worship songs. I would just ask God to help me. People started reaching out. Obviously, you know how news spread. People had heard, people started reaching out, people started sending me flowers, people started But in the midst of it all, so people saying, sorry, it is well, he's free from pain, he is this, da da da.
Right.
I couldn't understand it. I felt like it's easy to say.
Yeah.
But for some reason, I was able to connect a lot more with a particular friend who had lost both parents shortly before this happened to my son. So I think it was like a couple of years in between, she lost both parents back to back. Mm-hmm. That was the only person that I could relate with. Mm. So I was feeling, there are times when my chest will feel like there's load, very heavy. Sometimes I would just not want to get out of bed. But there was a way I was able to describe how I was feeling to her. And she could tell me it's normal. She could tell me, do this. She could tell me. So the way she would describe my pain, it was as if she was wearing my shoes. It was as if it was her that lost her child. So she was my go-to for advice. She was my go-to for, I'm feeling this way. Right. I remember I had signed up, there was a popular man of God from Nigeria that was coming for a conference. No, it was a prayer program in Houston. I had registered before my son died to go for it. But I had registered because I was going to pray for my son. Right. But he had already died. So why am I still going? Mm-hmm. And she's like, if you can, go. You have nothing to lose. Right. Just go. You know. If it's too much for you, don't go. Nothing is going to happen whether you go or not. So I found myself there. I went. So I still couldn't pray, but I could praise and I could worship. I would cry. I was a wreck. I would cry. I would just feel guilty. You know, this was in September. He died in September, 13th of September, 2022. So he was diagnosed in September 2020. He passed September 2020. So it was exactly 2 years that I have just described now. Now, my church back home in Nigeria started a series in October on emotional healing. I joined online because I was here. Right. And in that program, I started hearing emotions. I started hearing childhood trauma. I started hearing mindsets. Never heard of these things before. Wow. At that age, never. My life in Nigeria, I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm a business owner, nothing more. Right. What do you want to be in the next 5 years? You ask me such questions, I block you. You're asking me jam questions. Why are you like, I'm alive. That's all I want to be, right? I had no depth. I had a little bit of popularity, but there was nothing else to me. I'm a wife, I'm a mom, that's it. So my life was basically autopilot, right? Sleep, wake up, take care of children, take care of husband, fight with husband, have issues with husband, go to work, come back, and just be a robot. My life was very robotic before all of this happened. So I started hearing emotions. I started hearing childhood. I started hearing how your childhood shapes who you become. I started hearing how what you experienced as a child defines what you turn out to be most times. I started hearing how without an intervention, there's, according to statistics actually, without an intervention, there's a 90 to 95% chance that you repeat the marriage of your parents. Now I start hearing all these things, and then I'm just curious. Wait. Are you saying I called all of this upon myself? I started having questions that I didn't have answers to. But I was intrigued because I had never heard things like this before. I had never seen things from this perspective before. Now, the more I heard these things, the more curious I got. And you know how algorithm works. You know how all these things, all of a sudden, everywhere is emotional healing. Well, what is this healing of a thing? I had a friend at the time who was also going through stuff in her marriage. We went to college together and we were here. So I would send her links to this program. I think she was joining at some point. And then I remember saying to her that, you know what, I want to explore this thing. Let's do it together. But she wasn't interested. And I said, you know what? I'm going to give myself 3 months. If I try this thing and it doesn't work, at least I know that I've tried. Because at the time, I was just fed up of that anger. I was fed up of so at the time, to me, it was like my life had ended. The day my son died, how he died, where he died, it was as if a part of me went.
Like, you still having that numbness?
Yeah. So she had invited me for a party, actually, a naming ceremony for another friend. And I got to that party. She was trying to get me out of the house. You know, you can't remain there like that forever. I got to that event. And I don't know what happened. I just looked at my legs and I realized that I was wearing 2 different shoes. That's how absent I had become. That's how, what day of the week is it? I don't know. I don't care. Why am I alive? What am I looking for? So it was now a question of, if we had prayed that much and this still happened, does God still exist? Is there really a God somewhere? You know, I had a lot of questions. So what's going to happen with my marriage? My marriage is already... So at the time, before my son passed, my husband had been trying to get a visa to come. They kept denying him, right? And the week my son died, that's when they granted him his visa. Yeah.
Wow.
So all that journey, he wasn't able to be a part of it. I remember Make a Wish. There's a foundation called Make a Wish. I think it's when children are in hospice, when they're about to die, they just want to make one wish, grant one wish for them. And I remember my son's wish then was just to see his dad and his cousins, you know, back in Nigeria. And he wasn't, well, they couldn't make it happen. It couldn't happen for some reason. So my husband eventually comes after my son had died. And then I start hearing this healing thing. It was a series for that month, but it was a lot back to back. So you know how they say when the student is ready, the teacher would appear. So all through, I was just taking information in.
Yes.
You know how then I was at the face of awareness.
Right.
But you know, awareness is not solution. So I was aware, but I didn't have how to navigate it, what to do. I just started putting things together. This happened in my childhood. Oh, this is why I'm like this. Oh, so some certain things started making sense to me as to why I was acting the way I used to act, how I was. Now, another program, and that's why I am a very, very, very big believer and a fan of conferences. A conference literally changed my life. So if it's a conference I'm going to attend online, I will. If it's in person, even better. So I don't play with...
Right, I agree.
I don't play with conferences anymore. So I saw another conference online. It was called Heal Before You Deal. And then at the time, I wasn't trying to heal because I wanted to help anybody. Right. I wasn't trying to heal because I wanted to restore my marriage. To me was dead. But it was a case of God. Even if it is in my destiny to remarry, I do not want to attract this same type of bastard again. And I'm using my words intentionally. The level of hatred that I had towards my husband, it was a case of, God, I don't want to attract this type of bastard again. I don't want to go through this again. So because I started hearing all these things, it was now, okay, what do I need to change about myself? What do I need to know about myself so that I don't go through this again? Now, this pain about my son that has passed, it was too heavy. I could literally feel the heaviness in my chest. So that's how my emotions, a lot of times, is either in my head or in my chest. I feel it, right? So I wanted to offload. That was all I was looking for.
You just needed to feel free.
Yeah, that was all I was looking for. I wasn't looking for anything else. So it wasn't because I wanted to restore my marriage. No, it wasn't even because I wanted to be anything. I just wanted to get rid of this pain.
Yeah.
So this Heal Before You Deal conference, I heard the female speaker talk. And I looked at my TV screen and he's like, what this woman just said, what I'm going through is not up to half of what she experienced. But if she has become this, she doesn't have two heads. God, there's like, no. So I will never forget, I can pull out the DM message I sent to her. Hello, ma. I watched this conference. My life, and I said to her, help me. My life is in shambles. That was all I said to her. And she's like, don't worry, you'll be fine. I hadn't even told her anything that I was going through. And she said, I have a program called Healing School. Join, it will help you. Me being me, early bird offer has ended. I don't have money. I negotiated with her. Can you give me a discount? She gave me a discount. Can I pay in installments? She allowed me. So that was how I joined that program. Ooh. Now that was my first ever self-improvement, anything that I would do in my life. So it was very raw. It was very touchy. It was very painful. It was a level of
vulnerability.
Yes. Now I'm the first child of 3 amazing siblings. So vulnerability wasn't anything that no. One of my sisters, my name is stored on her phone as my pillar.
What is that?
So you know what a pillar is?
Oh, the pillar, yes.
Yeah. So she has my name stored as, that's how tough I was. That's how strong I was. That's how numb. I didn't know how to feel.
No.
That would be me being vulnerable. And in my head, me being vulnerable meant that anybody could take advantage of me. Anybody could hurt me. And I didn't want to be hurt.
Right, which is protecting yourself.
Yes. Right. So there was a level of vulnerability that I encountered, very uncomfortable. But you see, when I started to learn these things, I realized that the levels of resentment, of pain, of anger, of defensiveness. Ooh, I used to be very defensive. I'm still recovering.
There's always growth.
Oh my goodness. So I started to hear these things. Now, because it's healing school, we're starting from childhood. I started to see why I was defensive. So my marriage, I started to see the roles that I had to play in the downfall of that marriage.
Wow, that's powerful.
Yeah, I started to see that this man that I so hate, because nothing you could tell me back then, if you even tried to reconcile my husband and I will block you. Yeah, because I felt like you were being mean. How can I tell you I'm going through this and you're trying to reconcile me and this beast? No. Yeah. So me seeing my husband's name appear on my phone that he's calling me was a trigger. So it felt as if everything that had happened, every time I see his name calling, I'm angry all over. I was literally I was a very angry woman. So once I see his name or his video, I just pass it to my kids. Your daddy is calling. I didn't want to No. Like, there's stuff to talk about.
Wow.
That's how bad and how far gone we were, right? So I started to see the role that I had to play, because before then, nothing you could tell me, my husband was the devil. I was the saint, right? So I started to see that you're actually very, very defensive woman. So anytime he has another opinion contrary to mine, was war. How dare you? Remember that I'm also a first child. I'm a first girl. So I'm used to being the leader, right? I didn't know how that was being interpreted in my home. So you can't have the last word with me. No, I have to tell you that I know I have to prove a point. I have to fight. I was very feisty, very attack. Attack was my, ooh. Soft, no. I didn't know how to be soft. I didn't know. So when you say soft life, baby girl, no, that was I was full on in my masculine energy, full on. So I was that babe that maybe a light bulb is bad, or I'm the one calling the electrician. The plumber I need something I'm the one calling. Now I'm the one calling, but I'm fighting him for not doing it. Meanwhile, I'm not allowing him do it.
Exactly.
Right?
Right.
But before then, I didn't see it that way.
Right.
So I couldn't even fix anything.
Right.
But I started to see these things in all of these programs. I took courses on self-awareness, on identity. I started to meet me. I started to find me. I started to know who I am. I started hearing about personality tests, and I took a lot of those tests, and my results were always the same. So even if my secondary personality changes, the primary one was always the same, and it's sanguine. Now, being a sanguine, bear in mind that I've always been a very, very shy person. This thing we're doing right now will never have been me. So I was that child who would be in the room reading novels. I won't come out. You won't see me. So even as a business owner, you see, my business was, I used to run a fashion brand back in Nigeria called Fusion Trends, but it was mainly online. So my interaction with my clients, me being sweet, me being nice, was only because I'm typing. If you meet me, I won't talk to you. Why? Because my limiting belief was I'm not enough.
Wow.
I always saw myself as not enough. I always saw myself as not smart. So if I talk, I would expose myself.
Wow.
So when I'm in a crowd, in a place, even in classrooms, in church, you find me at the back, hiding. My default was to be at the back. Because you don't want people to know that's. Now, I remember this is not a conscious thing.
Right.
I can say it now because I'm now aware, right? There's this quote by, I think it's Carl Jung, if I'm not mistaken, that until you make the subconscious conscious, life will still keep happening and you still keep calling it fate. For Christians, we'll still keep saying it's the devil. But there are things that are controlling. There's a mindset, there's a belief that is all very unconscious. Now, I'll quickly talk about coping mechanisms that we develop as kids. Remember I said I used to be that child that would be in the room reading novels because I was hiding. That was a coping mechanism. Remember I talked about my business?
Yes.
If it's not online chatting, when I see, how do I want to express or talk about my business or my brand to you? Meanwhile, all my prayer points, you will see financial breakthrough.
You will
see marital breakthrough. You will see all these things, but
not really talking. You're not talking.
I'm not talking. So you can imagine a woman or another person who is praying to God for promotions, but as a child was constantly criticized. You will hide.
Right.
But you are looking for promotion. You are praying, but you're not speaking in boardrooms. In team meetings, you're not speaking. So they don't know what you carry. They don't know who you are. They don't know what you have. How would they promote you?
Right.
But you're not sleeping at night. You are joining prayer platforms. You are praying. You are doing all of these things. These were the things that I had to start seeing and learning to now start knowing where to correct. Now, in learning all of this, meeting myself, knowing the roots of all of these things, understanding my identity, understanding my weaknesses, then I started to see that maybe, just maybe, this man is not as bad as I thought. Now, he at the time also, the loss of our son had broken things in both of us, right? So some way, somehow, he came in and, okay, maybe let's try again, right? So we were both willing. And then because of all that I had learned, I started implementing, my marriage started changing. So where I would have reacted in a certain type of way, my responses started changing. Where he will have said even when he was still saying certain things to me, the way I would have responded, sometimes I'll have just shut down to hide, run away. And he would have kept on saying things like that to get me to speak.
Yeah.
That cycle, we're able to break it because now I understand certain things, right? And things started to improve. Things started to change. Okay, maybe there's something here. So I remember I took a course on emotional intelligence. Oh, I did a lot. From that time on, October, my son died in September. From that October, for the next till now, I haven't stopped. So it's one course one program. So the more, you know how the more you know, the more you realize you don't know?
Right.
That's how my journey started. That's how all of these things started. So I took a course on emotional intelligence, and my certification, they asked me for a bio. What's a bio? About myself, what I do. I'm nothing. I'm nobody. I don't have anything. I've not done anything. And then I started to think. I started to dig deep. And then I just thought about it. Wait, if my marriage, and with all that I have gone through, I now know these things. I can see these things. Remember, I had done personality tests. I have started finding out about myself, my strengths, my weaknesses. Teaching,
right,
speaking is one of the strengths of a sanguine.
Yeah.
How about I leverage on this? Because it's something that is already in me and comes naturally to me. Remember that I'm also a first child. So I'm the one that everybody will come to for one advice, one problem or the other, right? So these things are already in me. How about I start leveraging on it? So that's how my certifications came about, right? So, and then because I remember I said I had friends who were going through things in their marriages as well and stuff, maybe I now have what it takes to help people.
Right.
Maybe I can now, so that's how my certification started. I've done it, I've learned it, I've applied it, it worked for me. How can I use it to help other people? Right. So from my pain, that's how this mission came about, and that's how this came about. And I remember after the first year after my son died, I was in the bathroom and I just heard the Holy Spirit tell me, do a conference.
Good.
I'm like, who do I know? Where do I start from? So the conference would be about my journey. And the conference wasn't about me. It was just, for me, the instruction I had was, it's a way of giving back and saying, thank you, God, for seeing me through that darkness. And it's a way of helping people going through tough times to come out, to see that really, really and truly, because you are in it, you won't see it. That's fine.
Right.
But the way I heard someone else's story and say, I haven't been through half of what she's been through, but she's come out of it. So that means, so basically give people, I don't want to use the word hope, because hope is I just you can come, get you fired, and then you leave and you're back to square one. No, but practical tools that you can, once you step out of this room, you start implementing and you start seeing changes. So that was how my conference came about. And it's called Trauma to Triumph Conference. Now, because it's in honor of my son, it's me saying, thank you, God, for helping me. I do it every year, every September. Right? Because that's when he passed, that's when he was diagnosed. So every September, I just come together with other coaches, therapists, and, put it together and help people do that.
It's a yearly event.
Yes, it's a yearly event. So yeah, I think that's basically the story in a nutshell. Not a nutshell, but
listen. I'm sitting here, and as a mother, you just reliving the experience, the moments, the feelings, and I could feel a sense of what it probably felt like, because I was thinking of how would I react if it was me. And you said some things that I would have been asking myself, like, God, what is this? Because with everything that you did, you're going through the prayer calls, calling, as you said, you became a nuisance for people because you were just trying to get to so many people for help. And yet still, your son died. And so my question for you is this: out of that experience, what is your biggest takeaway as to what was the true birthing moment for you? I don't want to say you rediscovering yourself, because you really went through a rediscovery process to get out of that grief and find yourself. What was the biggest learning lesson that you can say now, looking back on everything that you've gone through, looking at that whole time? What was your biggest? Because I'm still saying, like, so God, what was? Why?
The biggest lesson I learned. The biggest lesson I learned is God loves me.
Wow. That's powerful.
That's it. God loves me.
That is so powerful.
Because how that experience did not destroy me.
Right.
I can't tell you that I know.
You went through the fire, but it didn't come out smelling like smoke.
Honestly, I can't tell you that I know. You see, I had a lot of struggles before my son's diagnosis. My marriage, I had a brand that was doing well. I was quite popular. But I didn't have an essence. Like I didn't have, remember I said if someone asked me what's your plan for the next 5 years, I would like, what's that?
Right.
I didn't have a purpose.
Right. And that's all the Lord is saying.
I didn't have a purpose.
We're just doing things.
Yeah.
That felt right in the moment.
Exactly. And then, with my son's diagnosis, us moving, people rallied up for me. God used people to. So remember that I used to be very tough.
Right.
So I didn't know how to receive love. Not even from God. So I would remind myself that it's just pity. It's not that they really love me. It's just pity because it's cancer. Because everybody knows cancer is deadly. Right. So I will be convincing myself by myself that it's not love. It's not that anything you are special. It's just because they pity you, that they are helping you. But you see, the way the people around me, in spite of me, I tried to push them away.
Right.
But they didn't go. I remember after my son died, I had people that put me on their payroll. These are people that before this incident, it's not like we were really close.
Right.
We probably just knew each other, like a friend of a friend. There's one particular one that puts me on her payroll, meaning that every time she receives her salary, she gives me a portion of it.
What?
When my son died, so people would send me money because I couldn't work anymore, right? So people would send me money, people would send me things, people would just get me groceries. When my son died, because of how tough my friends knew that I am, or that I was, they knew that I would self-destruct. So they came together and booked me for grief therapy. I never even knew what therapy was before that. If my friends came together, paid for therapy for me. So in all of this, I think God, so now I know when it comes to loving people, when it comes to being there for people, I think that's the biggest thing. God used that whole experience. So it's not, so before my mindset used to be, let me share a quick story. When I was pregnant with my first child, I came to the US, I was staying with a family friend, same family friend that we ended up staying with now. And then I was in so much pain. There was no WhatsApp then. It was BlackBerry. So I remember messaging my sister to tell her that I was in pain. My sister was back home in Nigeria. I was living with people. I couldn't bring myself to tell them that I was going through something. And my sister's like, So she goes to tell my dad. And my dad is like, my dad now calls my uncle. She said, this girl will not talk, because my parents know me. They knew that I will not talk when I'm going through anything. The only way to know I'm drowning is I'm drowned.
Well,
so while I'm still struggling, I will be so well put together. You won't know. Yeah. Oh, so no, I couldn't let you see me in pain. Like I was just that tough babe. Now my uncle now comes. So he gets the call, he runs to my room. ER. Guess what? It was labor.
What?
Preterm labor. I was 6 months pregnant. It was preterm labor.
Wow.
So if all of that drama, if I did not have a sister that would tell my dad or I would have put to bed. I was in labor. I didn't know. That was my first pregnancy. I didn't know. So they had to now give me meds to stop the labor and I was placed on bed rest from 6 months. But that's how bad I was when it comes to asking for help, when it comes to being vulnerable, when it comes to, it wasn't me. So I think God used that whole process to shatter that's in me. So now I know what it means to support people. I know what it means to, if you mistakenly ask me now, what do you need? I will tell you, because no more, no more tough babe, no more. So I think the biggest takeaway is, yes, God loves me. Oh no, God loves me. There are still things I'm still in the process of still asking God questions and still dealing with. But when it comes to his love for me, no, that one I know for free.
Now, I love that, because so many people need to hear that. So many people don't believe that. And so many people are not open to receiving love, because just like you said, a lot of people, it's more like, oh, it's pity. And you don't want to feel that. You want to feel people who genuinely want to be around you. And sometimes we push away people who are just really trying to support us, and we just don't know how to express that. So just tell us a little bit more about how, if someone's watching and they want to connect with you and learn about what it is that you're doing and how they can become a part of that, what would that look like?
First off, I'm on Instagram. My Instagram handle is Atinuke 2.0. How do I help women? I have a conference. I have I have a 3 days program, the emotional healing program. I have a 6 days of becoming program, so for anybody who comes in contact with me, the first thing we're going to do is work on the roots. Because like I always say, everybody is like a tree, right? How you do one thing is how you do everything. It's just more pronounced in some areas where it now looks like you're having certain issues than the other. Every problem that every human being goes through is one of 4 things. It's either you don't know yourself. So whatever issue, marital, financial, health, whatever issues, is one of 4 things. It's either you don't know yourself, so you lack awareness of who you are,
right,
or you forget who you are.
Tough part.
The third one is you doubt who you are. So maybe you now know yourself, you remember who you are, but you doubt who you are. And then the last one is you're afraid of who you are or who you are becoming.
Wow.
It's one of those 4 things. So anyone who comes into my space, that's the first thing we deal with. So in all my programs, day 1, week 1, month 1, that's what we unpack, right? So yeah, I have those 3 programs, and I also do one-on-one and group coaching programs where I help you first. Every marital issue, from my story, you can tell is not really about your husband, because people would only treat you how you allow them treat you.
Correct.
How you allow them treat you is based on how you treat yourself and how you see yourself, right? So if we are able to work on that, everything changes, whether your husband is on board or not, right? I've had cases where, I'm one of the cases, right, where, all of that happened, and we're still together. My husband and I are still together. People see us now, and my daughter was saying to us a couple of weeks ago, she said if people were the same skin color, I would say people are brothers and sisters, because people are so annoying. So it's still the same person, still the same marriage, awesome. So I can tell you for free, it's not necessarily about what he's doing or what she's doing.
It's
not. Everything starts with self-awareness. Everything starts with you knowing who you are, you knowing whose you are, you knowing what you carry. I always tell me, you're fighting with your husband now because there's nothing that is driving you. Yeah, you don't have a big why. There's nothing more to you other than, so your husband does something you're carrying, because now it's not that my husband and I don't fight anymore.
Right.
It's not that we don't have issues anymore, but the way we handle it now is because I have a bigger why.
Right.
Right? I have a relationship with God now that is not even about you.
Good.
It's me and God first.
Yes.
Right? So what does God want me to do? I would rather not let anything affect my relationship with God first. So it's first of, I can ignore you. What will have hurt me before? It doesn't hurt me as much because first of all, I know who I am.
Yes.
I know that before, when things happen, I used to personalize it. It's me that did something.
Right.
It's because of me. It's me. But now, no, I know that life doesn't work that way. Everything is not about me, right? So how I help, first of all, we unpack all of those things, right? So yeah, either the 3 days program, 6 days program, or the coaching sessions where we go, deep dive, is deeper.
Is there any time frame for the one-on-one coaching, like expectancy, like to go through a real?
Yeah.
Because I think sometimes people think it's a one and done, I'm cured, I'm fixed, and I'm good.
So
they think the work is done.
Oh my goodness. I wish it was that easy. Like I said, the more you know, the more you realize like you don't know. So my one-on-one programs are 10 weeks. You are stuck with me for 10 weeks. Every week. Yeah.
Who you are.
Yeah. So for 10 weeks, we sit together once a week and deep dive on all of these things, you know. So many of us are being scarred from what our mothers went through, from the relationships our parents had, that we built up walls to protect ourselves. Now, the coping mechanisms that you develop as kids, as adults, that coping mechanism becomes your prison.
Wow.
I'll take it again.
Wow.
The coping mechanism you develop as a child, it keeps you safe. It protects you at that age, at that time. But as adults, it becomes your prison. Look at me, that said I was very defensive. Criticism was so imagine my boss at work corrects me. I shut down.
Right.
I'm still, my prayer points, financial breakthrough, but I'm not speaking up because I've gone into my shell. And because I want to stay safe, I don't want to be corrected.
Right.
So I would hide. I won't speak up, right? You know, things like that. Even financially, a lot of women, I've seen women who, you know, in working with me, they began to realize that they actually have a fear of having money. Where is the fear coming from? One of my clients, I remember, realized that because of what she saw her father do to her mom financially, she was afraid of it's all of these things are not conscious.
Right.
So she didn't realize that she had a fear of making money. So even if money comes to her some way, somehow, it will finish. Because subconsciously, money means being evil because of what you do with it and how you treat people around you, you know. As so many cases, I've had women who have said, oh, growing up, my mom always tell me that men don't like women who nag. Men don't like women who nag. So at home now, they're married, they cannot express themselves to their husbands. They can't say what the husband is doing, but they still expect him to know how they are feeling.
Right.
They're not communicating. Oh, my father did this to my mom. No man would do this to me. So you build that wall to protect you. One or two things. You attract that same type of man. You do the same thing your mother did, because the steps to take not to do the things your mother did that produced that result, we don't focus on those ones. We're just hell-bent on, I won't go through it, I won't go through it, I won't go through it. So yeah, those are the things that I help women unpack, uncover, you know. So now,
some deep stuff, some really great things that you're working on. And I love how you said those 4 areas. It's not being self-aware, not knowing who you are,
forgetting who you are,
and the last one was
being afraid of who you are.
Listen, that's some powerful stuff, and we will have all your information in our bio section so people can connect with you on Instagram, and also check out all the programs that you have, because it's a powerful thing. And that's one of the things I love doing this podcast, is that we're able to bring resources to people who might need a different things. And so this is a powerful tool. Your story is so awesome. And man, listen, resilience, power, strength, you know, rediscovering yourself. That's such a beautiful thing. And sometimes we ask to take the pain away without going through it so we can come out better. We're refined in that fire. We don't have to smell like smoke.
Oh, no, we don't. You know, one of the stories that did something for me was this story of how gold is made. I can't remember the Bible passage right now.
I don't remember the passage right now. Even a couple passages.
And I saw a story about how, you know, this group of women were studying that book of the Bible, and then they saw about the goldsmith and the gold. And then one of the women, you know, took it a step further to go to a goldsmith to ask, so this gold that you're putting in fire, why? It says to purify it, to bring out the beauty. And she's like, how do you know when to bring it out of the fire? And his answer was, when I see my image in that gold.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Like, that just like, I heard that and I'm like, I literally screamed Jesus, like, oh, now it makes sense.
Yes.
So I'm a firm believer that your pain, we can do something. If you know the number of doors that have opened onto me, we are here now because I lost my son.
Right.
if I didn't lose my son, I wouldn't have met you. I wouldn't have become that woman that would attend events that would have met. I would not be here. I would not have been able to help other women. You say it's not really what happens to you, it's what you become, what you do with what has happened to you that matters.
I love that. Say that part.
Yeah, it's not really what happens to you. It's what you become, what you do with what has happened to you that matters. That's why you see in the Bible that what the enemy meant for evil, God turned it if you let him. And that's why,
if you let him.
Yes. And that's why you will see that in Psalm 23, even though I walk to the valley of shadow, I will be with you. It says, you prepare the table before you in the presence of your enemies. You will need to have these enemies. You need to go through fire. You need for something to be birthed in you. Every great person you know, their greatness came from nothingness. So that nothingness, that zero is something. That pain is an instruction, is a message for you from God. Me saying this now, if anybody was telling me this then, I actually wish I had someone telling me all of this back then when I was going, because it probably would not have hit me as hard, or, I'll have come out, well, when you only learn looking back. Now, that child I said I was angry at God for, remember what I said about my gratitude to God and how much God loves me. God knew that my son was going to die.
Right.
So he was giving me a replacement even before the boy went.
Right.
Now, the way my husband and I look at that girl, if she had come after my son, I would know that is my son that came back. They are she talks just like her brother. She sits, everything she does is just like literally, I'm telling you.
That is so crazy.
I'm telling you. I'm telling you. So, sometimes
you're still having his memory living through her.
Yes.
So precious.
Yes. And something else that drives me is, for me, is how can a 7-year-old child have such an impact on people? So everybody that I said started praying with me, it's either they got closer to God or they became something else as a result of. So for me, my coaching is actually named after him. My brand is named after him, Neil Coaching. His middle name was Neil. So it's named after him. And that's how his legacy continues. And, so for me, I lost a son, but I can help other women. I can help other women become better mothers. And for me is, it takes a woman to change a generation. When we are praying against our forefathers, and you are somebody's forefather. You are somebody's generational. So how do you become so empowered that your kids, instead of praying against you, pray and thank God for the woman that you were, right? So that's what I help women do. That's what my mission is.
That's such a great way to really just say that, is to say, you're going through that and you did in that moment help people to come closer to Christ.
Yeah.
To impact their lives, even in your season of grief, you were able to still impact. That's so powerful, and sometimes we miss that because we're so focused on
us. Yes.
So I thank you so much again for just being on and sharing that beautiful story. Such a beautiful person. I love her spirit. Instantly, it just felt like this woman had something. She's been through something, but she didn't look like anything like she's been through. But and God anoints you to do something bigger. That's what I love, is these stories, because now you're giving back by helping women who are going through the same thing. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Watch this episode, put it on repeat, share it with someone, and click the subscribe button so you can see more new episodes as they come out. So thank you for watching.
Thank you.
Hey guys, so I just wanted to share that everything that we're doing in this season on the podcast is to really transform the lives of those who are watching. We understand and recognize that there's a lot of people who might be doubting where their gifting is, what their calling is, and how do they respond to what God has given them, or what others have told you. Leaders, prophets, even just doing the work is hard. And so my encouragement is that you keep seeking God. You find a community that will help you to build that relationship. Echo Community Church is the church that I go to, but you may not be in that area, and you need to still find somewhere that will resonate with your spirit, and you want to make sure that you're tapped into God. Building that relationship is so key. These podcast episodes, I hope you're enjoying them, are really inspiring for me. Even for me here, I am growing in just listening to the different testimonies being shared. And I mean, this is not a perfect walk with God. And that's one of the things that I really wanted to say, is that we are not walking in perfection, but we're growing together in Christ. We're growing somewhere, as we would say, as Pastor Eric and Pastor Kay would say, we are growing somewhere, and we just have to go through the process and trust that process. So please subscribe to our channel, hit that notification bell so that you can see more of these episodes. Please comment as well as we go along, encouraging each other, because we need each other as a community to support. So thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for supporting our network and what we're doing. And if you want to see more videos like this as well, we do have a donation page where you can actually just help us out by donating and helping us so that we can provide more quality videos, more of all of these guests that you see on, so that we can have this word spread across the world. So thank you again for watching, and see you on the next episode.